Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to prove yourself, but it never seems enough? What if I told you that true magnetism doesn't come from trying harder, it comes from letting go? Imagine being so grounded, so in control of your emotions, that you don't need to chase attention. In today's world, non-reactivity and detachment aren't weaknesses. They're powerful tools that draw others in. Stay with me, because in this video, I'll show you how mastering this art can make you more magnetic than ever before, ready to discover your true power. Let's dive in. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and constant emotional responses, there's one quality that stands out above all: non-reactivity. This might sound counterintuitive at first. How can being less reactive make you more magnetic, right? But here's the truth. The most compelling people are not those who constantly talk or react to every situation. They're the ones who exude a calm, quiet presence. A presence that's solid, unshakable, and deeply magnetic. Think about this for a second. How often do you find yourself reacting to every little thing? Someone criticizes you and immediately you feel the need to defend yourself. A comment is made and you feel triggered. In those moments, we're not really in control. We're letting the world dictate our reactions. But what if you could choose how to respond instead of just reacting on autopilot? Non-reactivity is about mastering your emotions, not ignoring them. It's about being so in tune with yourself that when life throws you a curveball, you don't flinch, you don't get pulled into the chaos. You stay still, you observe, you choose how you respond. And that is the power of non-reactivity. Think about someone who's always calm in a crisis. Maybe it's that one person at work who doesn't get rattled during stressful meetings, or the friend who stays composed no matter how intense a situation gets. They don't have to shout to be heard. They don't need to prove anything. They simply hold their ground. That's true strength. In Stoic philosophy, non-reaction isn't indifference. It's not about ignoring the world around you, pretending it doesn't matter. It's about controlling what you can, the one thing you can always control, yourself. Epictetus, a famous Stoic philosopher, said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond." This is the essence of non-reactivity. You don't let your emotions control you. You control them. This kind of control is what makes you truly magnetic. People are drawn to calmness. In moments of chaos, when everyone else is reacting in anger, fear, or anxiety, the person who stays grounded is the one who stands out. And not because they're trying to, but because their calm is a powerful statement in itself. There's a reason why leaders, warriors, and thinkers throughout history have embraced Stoic principles. They didn't run from discomfort. They faced it head-on, with stillness and poise. And this ability to remain calm, no matter the storm, is what made them influential. It's what allowed them to take control in critical moments, whether in battle, in business, or in life. Let's think about a real-life example. Captain Chesley "Sully" Sullenberger. In 2009, he became a hero for successfully landing US Airways Flight 1549 in the Hudson River after both engines failed. When disaster struck, panic spread throughout the plane, but Sully remained calm. He didn't react in fear. He didn't let his emotions get the better of him. Instead, he stayed centered, assessed the situation, and took action. In that moment, his ability to remain calm under pressure saved 155 lives. This wasn't a miracle. It was a direct result of his mental training and his ability to control his reactions. Now, let's take this back to your own life. When was the last time you stopped in the middle of an argument and just observed? Instead of defending yourself, instead of trying to prove your point, you simply paused. It's uncomfortable at first, right? But in that moment of discomfort, something else happens. A quiet stillness arises. You become more aware of what's truly happening, not just the surface-level drama. And from that stillness, clarity begins to emerge. The more you practice this, the more you start seeing others for who they really are, not just through the lens of your own emotions and reactions. This is where the true power lies. When you're not constantly reacting, when you stop being at the mercy of your emotions, you become untouchable. You begin to understand the deeper motivations behind people's words and actions. What drives them? What are they really afraid of? What are they hiding? When you understand this, you stop reacting to the surface-level drama. You respond with understanding, and your presence becomes something that people are naturally drawn to. The most powerful people aren't the loudest, the most flashy, or the quickest to respond. They are the ones who are comfortable with silence. They don't feel the need to react to every little provocation. They are in control of their energy, and they don't waste it on trivial things. They know when to speak, when to listen, and when to stay silent. So next time someone triggers you, take a deep breath. Count to 3 before you respond. Feel the discomfort and let it pass. You'll start noticing something incredible. The longer you wait, the clearer you see the situation. The more you pause, the less you react, and the more you gain control. And in that stillness, you become more magnetic. You become a force that cannot be ignored. Remember, this isn't just about not reacting for the sake of it. It's about choosing your battles wisely. It's about preserving your energy for the things that truly matter. The less you react, the more you realize that you don't need to prove yourself. You are enough as you are. And that, my friend, is the ultimate form of magnetism. In the next part, we'll dive into why silence, in a world that's so noisy, can be the most powerful weapon you have. Stick around, because when you learn to master silence, you'll find yourself standing out in a way you never thought possible. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people in the room rarely need to raise their voices? In fact, they don't need to say much at all. Their presence alone commands attention. It's not about the volume of their words, it's about the stillness that surrounds them, the quiet confidence that radiates from within. Calmness, the ability to stay composed amidst chaos, is not just a virtue, it's a magnetic force that draws people in. In a world that is constantly bombarded by distractions, chaos, and noise, a calm mind is becoming a rare and powerful commodity. In the rush of daily life, most people react impulsively, giving in to stress, frustration, or anxiety. But those who remain calm, those who take a moment to pause, reflect, and choose their actions wisely, are the ones who stand out. They don't follow the crowd, they lead it. Now let's think about the environment around us. Everywhere you turn, people are clamoring for attention. Social media, 24-hour news cycles, endless notifications, all of it is designed to keep us engaged, anxious, and reactive. It's easy to get swept up in that noise. We're taught to react, to respond immediately, to make our voices heard. But in this constant rush to react, we often lose sight of what truly matters. We become disconnected from our true power. A calm mind doesn't chase attention, it commands it. Think about those moments when you're in the midst of a hectic situation and someone walks in, calm and collected, with an air of self-assurance. The room naturally shifts. People stop and pay attention, not because that person is louder or more outspoken, but because their quiet strength fills the space. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to be announced. It simply exists, and everyone around feels it. This calmness is not a form of indifference. It's the result of deep inner strength. It's the power of a mind that is not easily swayed by external forces, a mind that remains anchored in the face of adversity. When you master your emotions, you stop being controlled by them. You stop reacting to every small trigger and start responding thoughtfully. You learn to assess the situation, to understand it from every angle before you make your move. And that's what sets you apart from the rest. The beauty of a calm mind is that it creates space, not just for you to think clearly, but for others to listen and reflect. When you stop constantly reacting, you create an environment where people can't help but lean in. They want to understand what's beneath the surface. What is it about this person that makes them so grounded, so composed? Think about how different life would be if you could maintain that kind of calmness, even in the most stressful situations. Imagine facing a conflict at work or a difficult conversation with a loved one without letting your emotions take control. Instead of snapping, arguing, or raising your voice, you take a deep breath, pause, and respond from a place of clarity. In that moment, you not only gain control over the situation, but you also command the respect and attention of those around you. The Stoic philosophers understood this concept deeply. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't stoop to the level of those who provoke you. When you stay calm, when you don't let your emotions get the best of you, you rise above. You don't need to retaliate or defend yourself. Your calmness is your strength. In fact, calmness can be far more powerful than any words you say. It's not the loudest voices that leave a lasting impact. It's the ones who speak less, but whose words, when they do speak, carry weight. There's a saying that goes, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." This is true in life as well. When you cultivate a calm mind, you start to listen more deeply, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to understand what truly matters, and you act from a place of intention rather than reaction. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we can apply this in our own lives. Next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel the urge to react immediately, whether it's a comment that irks you, a misunderstanding, or a stressful event, pause for just a few seconds. Don't speak right away. Don't allow the emotions to take control. Instead, take a deep breath, ground yourself, and choose your response carefully. In those few moments of stillness, you regain your power. This might feel uncomfortable at first. It's easy to fall into the habit of reacting out of instinct, of wanting to defend yourself, of wanting to be heard. But the true strength lies in knowing when not to speak, in choosing silence when it serves you. It's in this silence that you find your presence, and in that presence you find your power. You see, calm minds don't just command attention, they create trust. When people see that you remain composed even under pressure, they begin to trust you more. They know that you won't be easily swayed, that you won't make hasty decisions. This builds credibility, not just as a leader, but as someone people feel safe around. In a world full of uncertainty, calmness is the anchor that keeps everyone steady. The power of a calm mind also extends to how we view the world. Instead of reacting impulsively to every piece of news, every bit of drama, or every social media post, a calm mind takes a step back. It processes information and responds thoughtfully, and in this age of constant distraction, that is a rare and valuable skill. But here's the twist. The more you practice staying calm, the more natural it becomes. It's not something that happens overnight, but with time, you'll find that your ability to remain composed becomes your automatic response. And once this happens, you'll start to notice that you're no longer chasing attention or approval. You've already mastered the most powerful form of attraction, being still, being grounded, and being yourself. This calmness doesn't mean you're passive or disengaged. It means you're engaged on a deeper level. You're not reacting to the noise around you. You're responding to what truly matters. You're not allowing the chaos to define you. You're defining your own path. And when you do this, you become an undeniable force. As we move forward in this journey, we'll explore how silence, when used strategically, can be one of the most powerful tools you have in commanding attention and cultivating influence. Stay with me, because the next lesson will teach you how to harness the full potential of silence. In a world that never stops talking, silence becomes the most compelling voice you can have. You've been taught that holding on tight is the key to success. Hold on to your dreams, hold on to your goals, and especially hold on to your relationships, your self-image, and your pride. But here's a truth many never tell you. Letting go, when done consciously and with intent, is the very thing that makes you stronger, more resilient, and yes, magnetic. Think about it. In a world constantly pushing us to do more, be more, and hold on to everything, letting go can seem like a weakness. We fear that if we let go, we'll lose control, we'll lose people, or we'll lose ourselves. But true power doesn't come from clinging to everything tightly. It comes from knowing when to release what doesn't serve you. When you release, you free up your energy, your mental space, and your heart. And from that freedom, you'll find your true strength. Letting go isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's the opposite. When you hold on to things that drain you, that weigh you down, you stop living in alignment with your true self. You begin to suffocate under the pressure of expectations, external validation, and past experiences. And in doing so, you become disconnected from your own power. But when you let go, when you choose to detach from things, people, and situations that no longer contribute to your growth, you reclaim your power. And this is a choice. You choose to no longer let the chaos around you dictate how you feel. You choose to not let your identity be wrapped up in what others think of you. This is freedom. Letting go means freeing yourself from the emotional weight of seeking constant approval or validation. It means learning to be okay with who you are, even when no one else notices or acknowledges it. You stop chasing the applause, the likes, or the constant need to be seen. And in that moment, when you stop seeking, you become magnetic. The energy you once spent trying to hold on to everything is now channeled into something more powerful, your inner peace. Let's explore this a bit deeper. Letting go doesn't mean cutting people off or detaching from life. It's not about avoiding connection or turning cold. It's about understanding the difference between attachment and connection. Attachment is when you cling to something because you feel like you need it to survive, whether it's a relationship, a material possession, or even a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Attachment causes suffering because it comes from fear, the fear of loss, of not being enough, or of not being in control. Connection, on the other hand, is rooted in love, respect, and trust. It's when you are fully present with someone or something without the need to possess it. You connect without the fear of losing yourself or your worth in the process. You connect because you are already whole. And that, my friends, is true freedom. One of the most powerful examples of letting go comes from the realm of personal growth. Think about it. How often do we hold on to outdated beliefs about ourselves? How often do we cling to past mistakes, past versions of ourselves, or societal expectations that no longer fit who we are becoming? Each time we do that, we limit our potential. Letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting it. It means releasing the hold it has on your present and future. Take a moment and reflect. How often do you find yourself stuck in old patterns, overthinking your actions, or holding on to past regrets? The truth is, the more you hold on to things that no longer serve you, the more energy you waste. You become drained, stuck in a cycle of wanting to change but feeling like you can't move forward. Now imagine if you were to release that grip. Imagine if you stopped fighting against what is and allowed yourself to flow with the current of life, trusting that what's meant for you will come without the constant strain. That's when the real magic happens. When you let go of the need to control everything, you create space for what's truly meant for you to enter. A great example of this principle in action is in the story of David Goggins, a man who chose to live with intensity despite the lack of applause or external recognition. He ran hundreds of miles, pushed his body to its limits, and endured unimaginable pain. Yet he did so with no audience, no cheering crowd. He wasn't chasing external validation. Instead, he was releasing his need for comfort, approval, and instant gratification. Through that, he found a strength that most people never tap into, the strength of inner conviction and peace. You might be wondering, but how can letting go make me powerful? The truth is, when you let go, you stop giving your power away. When you hold on to people's opinions, or when you react impulsively to criticism or praise, you are surrendering your energy to others. You're allowing them to control how you feel, but when you choose to let go of that need, you regain control. You own your emotions. You own your responses. You own your peace. And here's the beauty of it. This doesn't make you cold, distant, or detached from life. On the contrary, it allows you to experience life fully, without the baggage of fear, resentment, or guilt. You can engage in relationships, pursue your goals, and chase your dreams, but without the crippling attachment to outcomes. You can love deeply, but without the fear of losing that love. You can strive for success, but without letting the pursuit consume you. This kind of detachment is rooted in self-respect. It's not about avoiding challenges or withdrawing from life. It's about being strong enough to walk away when something no longer serves your peace or growth. It's about knowing that you are enough, with or without the validation of others. When you learn to let go, you stop being a slave to your desires, fears, and the external world's expectations. Letting go means trusting that the right things, the right people, and the right opportunities will find their way to you. It's not about being passive. It's about being so grounded and confident in yourself that you no longer need to chase after validation or success. You attract it, you command it. The key takeaway here is that letting go is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's the power of knowing when to release what no longer serves you so that you can make room for what truly matters. It's the power of walking through life unburdened with clarity, confidence, and inner peace. So the next time you feel the urge to fight, to prove yourself, or to hold on to something that drains your energy, ask yourself, what if I let go? What would happen if I chose peace over control? The answers you find will surprise you. And remember, as you move forward, letting go is a continuous practice. It's a choice you make every day, with every situation and with every relationship. It's an ongoing journey that requires patience, awareness, and trust in yourself. But once you start, you'll see how much lighter and more powerful you truly become. In a world where everyone is trying to fit into molds, following the script, and seeking validation in predictable ways, there's a silent, powerful force that commands attention: unpredictability. It's not about being erratic or chaotic, but rather being someone who moves with purpose, who refuses to be easily understood or categorized. This unpredictability is a form of strength. It's magnetic, irresistible, and at the core of what makes a person truly captivating. Now, let's dive into why unpredictability is so powerful and how it makes you stand out in a world filled with conformity. The comfort of predictability and the danger of stagnation. Our world loves predictability. From algorithms designed to tailor our preferences to routines that make life easier, predictability gives us comfort. We love knowing what's coming next. It's easy, it's safe, and it keeps us comfortable. But here's the thing. Comfort is the enemy of growth, and consistency without purpose leads to stagnation. When everything is predictable, nothing stands out. We can go through days, even weeks, living on autopilot, never really stepping outside our comfort zones. But here's the truth. Predictability breeds boredom. And in a world that craves excitement and depth, nothing turns people away faster than someone who is easy to read, easy to figure out, and easy to predict. The paradox is that true connection and influence don't come from being someone others can quickly understand. They come from being someone who keeps them on their toes. Unpredictability gives others a reason to lean in, to be curious, and to engage with you more deeply. Unpredictability sparks curiosity. Think about it. What grabs your attention? Is it the person who follows the same pattern, day in and day out? Or is it the one who shows up with something new, who surprises you, who doesn't fit into the box you've built for them? It's the latter, isn't it? That's the power of unpredictability. When you are unpredictable, you create curiosity. People are drawn to mystery. Our minds are wired to seek out the unknown, the unexplained, and unpredictability taps into that innate human instinct. It's like a magnet. We wonder what's next, what they'll do, what they'll say, how they'll react. Predictable people, on the other hand, don't leave room for curiosity. They're already known, understood, and expected. By embracing unpredictability, you leave people wanting more. You force them to pay attention because they never know exactly what you'll do next, and that uncertainty makes your presence irresistible. It creates an energy that draws people in, not because you're trying, but because they can't quite figure you out. Mastering the art of controlled unpredictability. Now you might be wondering, how can I embrace unpredictability without becoming a complete mystery or losing control? The answer is simple. It's all about balance. Unpredictability doesn't mean being all over the place or constantly changing your personality. It means breaking free from patterns, allowing yourself to evolve, and showing different sides of yourself that others wouldn't expect. It's about being confident enough in who you are that you're not afraid to show up differently, whether it's in the way you communicate, the way you act, or the way you approach challenges. It's about breaking the cycle of sameness and introducing moments of surprise. For example, have you ever been around someone who always responds in the same predictable way? You can almost guess their answer before they say it. But then there's the person who, every so often, surprises you with a completely different response, one that challenges your expectations and makes you think. Who do you gravitate toward? The person who fits your mold, or the one who leaves you wondering? The key is controlled unpredictability. It's about giving enough of yourself to remain genuine, but leaving enough room for surprise that others don't know exactly what to expect. For example, a person who always reacts calmly, never being too quick to anger, suddenly standing up for themselves when necessary, will surprise people in the best possible way. It's the unpredictability of strength, not chaos. This is how you become truly magnetic, by allowing your actions, your thoughts, and your behaviors to unfold in ways that aren't always anticipated, but still rooted in your core values. The power of silence and space. Unpredictability doesn't only come from what you say or do, it often comes from what you don't say or do. Have you ever noticed that the quietest people in the room often hold the most attention? They don't need to speak to command respect or influence. It's the silence, the stillness that makes them unpredictable. They create space. And in that space they hold power. People are constantly talking, constantly filling the silence with noise. But the one who can hold their ground in silence, the one who doesn't jump into every conversation or argument, holds an unspoken strength. This is the ultimate form of unpredictability. They are not beholden to the crowd or the noise. They are unshaken. And this unpredictability makes them magnetic. It forces people to pay attention. Because in a world full of noise, silence speaks louder than any words could. Unpredictability creates depth and intrigue. Think about the most interesting people you know. Chances are they aren't the ones who put everything on display. They aren't the loudest or the ones constantly seeking attention. Instead, they exude an air of mystery. You feel there's more to them than meets the eye, and that makes you want to know more. Unpredictability breeds depth. The more unpredictable you are, the more intriguing you become. People begin to question, who is this person? And what else is there? In relationships, both personal and professional, Unpredictability adds layers to who you are. It adds intrigue to your personality and gives you the ability to break through the ordinary. It allows you to move through life with a presence that others can't quite figure out, and that keeps them engaged, wanting to get closer to you. But here's the catch. This kind of unpredictability isn't something you can fake. It comes from deep self-awareness and the courage to let go of the need to be understood in a world that's constantly trying to label and define you. Becoming unpredictable, a choice. Unpredictability is not something that happens by accident. It's a choice. It's a conscious decision to refuse to be boxed in. It's a commitment to stepping outside the lines of expectations and responding differently, choosing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to retreat. It's the strength to embrace the unknown and stand firm in your own presence, regardless of the chaos happening around you. In the end, unpredictability is not about confusing people for the sake of confusion. It's about freeing yourself from the constraints of societal expectations and living authentically, letting others catch glimpses of the person you truly are, piece by piece. And in doing so, you become magnetic, not because you're trying, but because you simply are. As we move on to the next principle, remember this: unpredictability isn't a game. It's a natural, powerful expression of your ability to live freely and authentically, and that freedom is what draws people in and keeps them coming back for more. In the next lesson, we'll explore why silence, when used correctly, can be your most powerful tool. Stay tuned, because this is where we dive into the true art of presence. In a world that constantly demands more attention, more time, more energy, one of the most empowering things you can do is set boundaries. But here's the truth: boundaries aren't walls. They're standards. They are the guidelines you set for how you expect to be treated, and the rules you live by to preserve your peace and energy. Without boundaries, you'll find yourself overwhelmed, depleted, and pulled in every direction. But when you set clear standards for your life, you create a space where respect and growth can thrive. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. Let's clear up a misconception right away. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away or being cold. They're not about building walls that keep others at a distance. In fact, boundaries are about protecting your inner peace and preserving your energy so you can give the best of yourself to the people and activities that matter most. When you set boundaries, you're not rejecting others, you're simply making sure you're not drained by situations that are emotionally, mentally, or physically taxing. Setting boundaries is a statement of self-respect. It's about recognizing that your time and energy are valuable, and that you don't need to constantly please others to feel worthy. So often we fall into the trap of saying yes because we fear rejection or confrontation, but in doing so we say no to our own well-being. That's where boundaries come in. They allow you to say no without guilt, to protect your energy, and to focus on what truly matters to you. Why boundaries are essential for growth and self-respect. Setting boundaries isn't just an act of self-care, it's also a declaration of your values and what you stand for. When you decide what you will and won't tolerate, you align your life with your values, giving you the space to grow and thrive. Imagine a life where you don't constantly worry about overcommitting, where you don't feel guilty for saying no, and where you prioritize your own needs without feeling selfish. That's the power of boundaries. For example, think about someone you know who is constantly available to others, who answers every call, every text, and gives away their time without hesitation. How long do you think they can sustain that before burning out? They might seem generous, but in reality, they're not setting the boundaries needed to protect their own well-being. And in doing so, they slowly lose the ability to show up fully for anyone, especially themselves. On the flip side, when you set clear boundaries, you create the space for genuine relationships and focused growth. You prioritize what's important, and as a result, you give your best to the people and projects that matter. You're not spread thin, and you're not wasting time on things that drain you. Boundaries allow you to show up as your best self, giving your time and energy only to those who deserve it. Boundaries reflect your inner strength and self-awareness. Setting boundaries requires strength. It's easy to give in to the demands of others, especially when we fear rejection or want to be liked. But standing firm in your boundaries isn't about being rigid or uncompromising. It's about knowing your worth and honoring your own needs. When you establish boundaries, you're making the statement that you respect yourself enough to take care of your own emotional, mental, and physical health. Think about Serena Williams, one of the most powerful athletes of all time. Under the public eye, surrounded by flashing cameras and media pressure, she knows when to step back. She doesn't overexpose herself or overcommit to unnecessary drama. She sets boundaries around her time, her privacy, and her well-being. When the media pushes too far, she doesn't lash out or engage in every controversy. She maintains her boundaries, her standards, while still being fiercely competitive and focused on her craft. That kind of boundary setting commands respect, not resentment. Boundaries are an expression of self-awareness. They show that you know yourself and you're not willing to compromise your values for the sake of fitting in or pleasing others. When you set boundaries, you're saying, this is where I stand, this is what I'm willing to give and what I will not tolerate. It's not about rejection, it's about living with purpose and integrity. And when you do this, people begin to respect you for your consistency, your clarity, and your inner strength. The importance of saying no. One of the most powerful tools you have for setting boundaries is the ability to say no. In a world that constantly asks for your time, your attention, and your resources, learning to say no is essential. But it's not just about saying no to other people. It's about saying no to things that don't align with your values, your goals, and your well-being. Saying no is a form of self-respect. It's acknowledging that your time is valuable and that your priorities should be honored. When you say no to a request or an expectation that doesn't serve you, you're protecting your energy, your peace of mind, and your future. You're saying, I choose what's best for me, and I will not allow anything to take me off course. Think about how often you've said yes to something just to avoid discomfort or to make someone else happy, only to regret it later. When you don't have clear boundaries, you say yes to everything and you end up saying no to yourself. The key is not to feel guilty for saying no. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your well-being. Setting boundaries in relationships and the workplace. Boundaries aren't just important in your personal life, they're critical in your professional life as well. In the workplace, boundaries help you maintain balance and avoid burnout. Setting clear boundaries means you're not answering emails at all hours or taking on tasks that aren't your responsibility. It means respecting your own time and energy while still showing up with commitment and dedication to your work. In relationships, boundaries are just as crucial. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and that respect begins with honoring each other's boundaries. It's important to communicate your needs, desires, and limitations clearly. When you do this, you avoid resentment, misunderstandings, and exhaustion. You create space for the relationship to flourish because both parties feel respected and valued. Boundaries empower you to live intentionally. At the end of the day, boundaries are about living intentionally. They allow you to take control of your life and direct your energy toward what truly matters. When you establish boundaries, you stop being reactive and start being proactive. You stop letting others dictate how you spend your time and energy, and you start choosing for yourself. Living with boundaries means you are living with intention, purpose, and focus. You're not caught up in the chaos around you. You are centered, grounded, and in control of your own narrative. And that, my friends, is what makes you magnetic. The final thought: boundaries are the foundation of a magnetic life. When you set boundaries, you are no longer a passive participant in life. You become the creator of your own experience. You show up with purpose, with clarity, and with the energy to focus on what really matters. The more intentional your boundaries are, the more freedom you'll find. You won't be chained to the expectations of others. You will be free to create, to thrive, and to live in a way that's true to who you are. As we close this chapter on boundaries, remember this: boundaries are not walls, they're standards. They're the markers that define your values and protect your peace. So ask yourself today, what boundaries can you put in place to protect your peace, your energy, and your future? In the next lesson, we'll dive deeper into how silence can become a powerful tool in your journey toward becoming magnetic and powerful. Don't miss it, because this is where we take your presence to the next level. Stay tuned. In a world constantly buzzing with noise, one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal is the ability to remain silent. It's easy to think that in order to make an impact, you need to be constantly speaking, always defending yourself, always proving your worth. We live in a culture that prizes quick reactions and loud voices, where it's easy to get swept up in the chaos. But let me ask you this. What happens when you don't react? When you choose silence over noise, when you choose stillness over the urge to engage, in these moments of silence, something incredible happens. You gain control, not just over the situation, but over yourself. You reclaim your power. You stand firm. You let the noise fade into the background, and you become a force that commands attention without saying a word. Silence is not weakness, it is strength. Let's start by addressing a common misconception. Silence is not weakness. In fact, silence is often the clearest sign of strength. When everyone around you is reacting emotionally, when people are scrambling to defend their positions, the person who remains calm and composed in the midst of it all is the one who stands out. They are the ones who exude quiet confidence, the ones who are not easily moved by the opinions and judgments of others. Think of how many times you've been in a heated argument or a situation where emotions were running high, and the urge to speak up or respond immediately felt overpowering. But have you ever noticed that when you give yourself that brief moment of pause, everything shifts? The world doesn't stop, but you do. You stop, take a breath, and choose to respond from a place of clarity, not reaction. The power of restraint. There's incredible power in restraint. It's in those moments when you choose not to fire back with a witty comeback or argue your point that your true strength shines through. When you don't react to someone's criticism or an insult, you're not surrendering, you're taking control. You're choosing how you want to show up. It's tempting to jump into the fray, to defend yourself, to prove you're right. But here's the secret. When you stay silent in the face of provocation, you don't lose anything. You gain everything. You preserve your energy, your peace, and your clarity. You create space to think, to respond thoughtfully, and to make the best decision instead of reacting impulsively. This is not about avoiding conflict. It's about choosing how you engage. The true art of silence is knowing when to speak and when not to speak. It's knowing that not every situation needs your words. Sometimes the absence of words speaks louder than anything you could say. Silence gives you space to observe. When you stay silent, you open up the space to observe and understand. You begin to notice the underlying emotions driving people's actions. Anger often masks fear. Bravado often hides insecurity. The more you practice silence, the more you start to see through the noise. You begin to understand people on a deeper level. When you don't react, you're not only keeping your own peace intact, you're also gaining insight into others. You learn to read between the lines, to understand motivations and fears. It's in these moments of stillness that you begin to understand what's really happening beneath the surface, and that understanding gives you power. When everyone else is reacting out of impulse, you're the one who remains grounded, calm, and clear-headed. This allows you to lead, to guide, and to influence from a place of inner strength. In that space, you hold the power to shift the energy of the room. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. The effect of silence on others. When you choose silence, you stop engaging in the noise around you, and people take notice. Have you ever been in a meeting or conversation where one person's silence commanded attention? Their words weren't many, but their presence was undeniable. It wasn't because they had to say something, but because their silence spoke volumes. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the person who doesn't need to speak is the one who truly stands out. Silence gives you the chance to let others reveal themselves. When you don't rush to fill the silence with your own words, others are more likely to open up, to share more of themselves. Your silence gives them space to speak, to show who they really are, and in doing so, it gives you insight into their true intentions. Think about how often we speak just to fill a gap or avoid discomfort. But when you choose silence, you let the situation unfold naturally. You don't force the narrative, you let it come to you. This is powerful because it shifts the dynamics. It moves you from being a participant in the chaos to being a master of the situation. You lead from a place of presence, not from a place of reaction. Silence as a tool for leadership. The most effective leaders don't speak the loudest, they speak with intention. They use their words sparingly, carefully choosing what to say and when to say it. They understand that true leadership doesn't come from dominating the conversation. It comes from knowing when to step back and let others share their ideas, their insights, and their concerns. By mastering the art of silence, you give others the opportunity to step up and contribute. This shows that you trust them, that you value their input, and that you're not just waiting for the spotlight to shine on you. Instead, you become a quiet force that inspires respect, admiration, and loyalty. Silence isn't a void, it's a tool. It's a way to create the space needed for people to think, to reflect, and to engage with you on a deeper level. When you master silence, you become a more effective leader, a more compelling communicator, and a more magnetic person. Silence, the quiet strength that attracts. So, the next time you're in a situation where emotions are running high, or when you feel the urge to react, take a step back. Pause, breathe, give yourself that moment of silence and notice what happens. You'll find that you have more control over yourself, over the situation, and over the people around you. Your silence will disarm more than your words ever could. It's not about being passive, it's about being powerful. Silence allows you to remain in control, to be grounded, and to operate from a place of inner strength. It's in those moments of quiet that you find your true power. And it's that power that draws people in, not because you're trying to attract them, but because you're already whole. In the next part, we'll explore how silence not only empowers you, but also increases your unpredictability, making you even more irresistible. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the art of mastering your presence and influence. When we think about confidence, what comes to mind? For many, it's about being outgoing, being noticed, and always having an answer. It's about presenting yourself in a way that demands respect or approval. But what if I told you that true confidence doesn't come from needing others to validate you? What if I told you the most magnetic and powerful people are the ones who don't chase validation, but rather radiate an unshakable sense of self that doesn't rely on the world around them? This is the essence of confidence born from wholeness. It's not about seeking approval, it's about understanding and owning who you are at your core. The illusion of external validation. In today's world, it's easy to believe that confidence is all about the external. How many people admire you, how many likes you get, how often others seek your approval. This idea has been ingrained in us since we were young. We're taught that to be somebody We need to be constantly acknowledged by others. But here's the truth. This kind of confidence is fleeting. It's built on the sand of others' opinions, and as you've probably realized, sand shifts easily. If your confidence is tied to external validation, what happens when that validation isn't there? What happens when people don't applaud your every move, or when the crowd isn't cheering you on? The truth is, you start to feel incomplete. You feel empty, like you're not enough. You lose your confidence because it's always been about getting something from others. It was never about who you were inside. But real confidence, the kind that doesn't shake when the spotlight dims, comes from being grounded in yourself. It's not about needing validation from the world, it's about knowing you are already enough, even without it. Wholeness brings unshakable confidence. Confidence from wholeness is different. It comes from the inside. It's rooted in the understanding that you don't need anything outside yourself to feel complete. This is the confidence that doesn't rely on a big following or constant attention. It comes from knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are. Think of the most magnetic people in your life, the ones who never seem to struggle to command respect or attention. It's not because they're the loudest in the room. It's because they are deeply rooted in who they are. Their confidence doesn't come from needing to prove something. It comes from a quiet, powerful place inside them that says, I am enough. They don't need external approval because their worth isn't dependent on it. They know their value, and it's this inner certainty that makes them incredibly attractive. The more rooted you become in your own self-worth, the more your presence becomes magnetic. People are drawn to you not because of what you're trying to prove, but because you no longer feel the need to prove anything at all. The freedom of being whole. When your confidence comes from a place of wholeness, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking external validation. You no longer need to chase approval or fight for recognition. You begin to operate from a place of quiet strength. You stop running after external rewards like praise, attention, or social approval because you know your value is intrinsic. Imagine how freeing that would be, to walk into a room not needing anyone's approval, not chasing anyone's attention, just walking in and simply being present, owning who you are. When you stop needing the world to fill you up, you realize you're already full, and that's where your true power lies. The power of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is key to this kind of confidence. When you accept yourself, flaws and all, you stop needing to hide behind a mask. You stop pretending to be someone you're not, or trying to meet expectations that others have placed on you. You stop feeling like you need to fit into a mold to be loved or respected. True confidence comes when you are free from the fear of judgment, free from the need to be liked, and free from the pressure of perfection. It's when you no longer tie your self-worth to accomplishments or external outcomes, but to the person you are at your core. This acceptance is a process. It takes time and patience, but it's the only way to build confidence that isn't fragile, that isn't dependent on others. You have to be willing to sit with yourself, get comfortable with who you are and say, I am enough. And once you get there, once you truly understand that you don't need external validation to feel whole, you'll discover a type of confidence that's almost impossible to shake. Confidence isn't about having it all together. One common misconception about confidence is that you have to have everything figured out, that you need to be perfect, or that you must always have your life in order to feel confident. But that's simply not true. Confidence isn't about being flawless or having all the answers. It's about being comfortable with your imperfections. It's about acknowledging that you don't have to have it all together to be worthy of respect, love, or admiration. You don't need to have the perfect job, the perfect body, the perfect relationship, or the perfect life to feel confident. True confidence doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from knowing that, even with all your flaws, you are worthy. You are enough right now, exactly as you are. confidence from wholeness in action. Now, how do we bring this into action? How do we start living from a place of wholeness rather than neediness? 1. Stop seeking external validation. Pay attention to how much time you spend seeking approval from others, whether it's through social media, asking for compliments, or constantly trying to meet others' expectations. Notice when you're seeking validation outside yourself. The next time you feel that urge, stop. Pause. Take a breath and remind yourself that you are enough, with or without their approval. 2. Practice self-acceptance. Look in the mirror and say, "I am enough." It might feel awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it will become. Start to accept yourself as you are, flaws and all. Embrace your imperfections. They're part of what makes you unique. 3. Embrace your worth. Recognize that your value doesn't depend on what you accomplish or what others think of you. Your worth is intrinsic. When you accept that, you stop chasing after empty accolades and start moving from a place of internal strength. 4. Be present. When you stop seeking approval, you can simply be present. No need to chase after anything, just allow yourself to exist fully in the moment. Your true confidence comes when you're at peace with who you are, no matter what's happening around you. Looking forward, embracing true power. As you start building your confidence from wholeness, you'll find that the world around you will begin to reflect that inner strength. People will start to notice you for your steady, quiet confidence. You'll attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences, because your energy will no longer be spent chasing things outside yourself. The journey to true confidence starts within. It starts with understanding that you don't need anything from the outside to feel whole, and once you embrace that truth, you'll never feel the need to prove yourself again. So I challenge you. Let go of the need to be validated. Step into your full, unapologetic power. Start building confidence from within, and watch how the world starts responding to you differently. Because when you stand tall in your own worth, you don't need to chase anything. Everything you need will come to you. In the next segment, we'll explore how living authentically, in alignment with your true self, can amplify this unshakable confidence. Stay tuned, because when you master yourself, you unlock the power to change your life. We've gone through a powerful journey today, one that isn't just about learning new ideas or concepts, but about reshaping how you view yourself, how you move through the world, and how you harness your inner strength. The principles we've explored, detachment, non-reactivity, embracing silence, setting boundaries, and ultimately living with a sense of inner wholeness, are the building blocks of a confidence that isn't just skin deep. It's the kind of confidence that's rooted in self-acceptance and an unwavering belief in your own worth. Now let's pause and reflect on what we've learned. The essence of all these principles is that true power doesn't come from reacting to the world around you. It doesn't come from chasing approval, constantly being seen, or striving for validation. No, real power comes when you stop chasing and start standing still in your own self-acceptance. It's when you master your emotions, practice detachment, and allow the world to come to you rather than scrambling for its attention. In a world that's always moving, always demanding, always reacting, the person who can remain calm, grounded, and centered becomes an anomaly, a force to be reckoned with. Think about it. People are constantly pulled in different directions, reacting, defending, and fighting for space. But the one who stands firm, the one who knows when to speak and when to remain silent, the one who isn't rattled by the noise or chaos, that's the person who becomes magnetic. That's the person others are drawn to, not because of the words they say, but because of the energy they radiate, the energy of someone who is whole, someone who is not desperate for validation. And let's be real, this isn't always easy. It takes practice, it takes patience. It takes learning to pause in the heat of the moment, to sit with discomfort and realize you don't need to react. It takes courage to walk away from the noise, to trust that your inner peace is more valuable than any applause or external recognition. It's not about suppressing your feelings or shutting the world out, but about building enough self-awareness to know when to engage and when to step back, when to speak, and when to stay silent. It's about being intentional with your energy, about not letting others take it from you. But here's the kicker. When you learn to live from this place, when you stop reacting to life and start responding with intention, you unlock a new level of presence, influence, and, yes, even attraction. People notice. They feel your energy, they feel your depth, and most importantly, they respect you because they sense you've mastered yourself. So where do you go from here? It's simple. Start putting these principles into action. Start small. Pause before reacting. Practice silence when everyone else is scrambling to be heard. Set your boundaries, not as walls to protect you, but as standards that define who you are and what you stand for. Every day, practice being more grounded. Every day, step into your own wholeness. Every day, stop trying to prove yourself to others and start living as the person you already are, complete and enough. Now, I want to hear from you. What did you learn today that shifted your mindset? Which of these principles resonated with you the most? How will you start applying these lessons to your life today? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue this conversation because transformation doesn't stop here. It's a lifelong journey, and you've just taken the first step. If you found this video valuable, if this message sparked something in you, then don't just keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. This is a space where we're all learning, growing, and challenging ourselves to become the best version of who we can be. If you're ready to continue this journey with me, to keep sharpening your mind and strengthening your inner foundation, then subscribe. There's more to come, and the next step is just around the corner. Let's walk this path together. Stay grounded, stay true to yourself, and remember, when you master yourself, you change everything. Thank you for your time. Let's make today the first day of the rest of our powerful journey. I'll see you in the next video.